Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real2reel360.
Uh-huh.
K-Wise.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. Let's get it in.
We do the knowledge of wisdom so you can understand. Real360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Peace and blessings. Welcome to all the 5% nation of gods and earths, to all the human families of the planet Earth. I be DJ KYs, aka Kato, the black superhero. Welcome to another rendition and a super exciting episode of the Real2reel360. If you thought the other show was good, we got another damn good one for you right here and right now. Before I get started, let me bring on my co-host with the most, none other than my brother in God, Joshua Allah, Mr. PhD. Peace to the living.
Peace to all the 5% nation of gods and earths. I want to say right now, may peace be upon the Law B, born of Law's family. They're going to lay him to rest this week. And when they just acknowledge, him and just let them know that, our thoughts and warm energy and currencies with his family. But today we're going to have a spectacular show. We're going to have Mr. Ronnie Bell. Man, I've been listening to his music.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about can a brother sing, can a brother throw down, man, he got that song. Like we were talking back behind the thing, he got that song, Miss Bougie Booty. He got to come and explain Miss Bougie Booty to all of our followers and listeners. But also too, while we're doing that, make sure y'all like and subscribe and hit that subscribe button. And Mr. Ronnie Bell, could you please come on and grace our audience?
Peace Kings. How y'all doing, man?
All is well and all is good.
Like I was saying, man, that joint Miss Bougie Booty, man. Where did the idea come from, Miss Bougie Booty?
Man, that idea came from my guy, my brother from another, my good personal friend, Mr. Teddy P. He produced that joint, bro. We were working on the album, working on finishing up the album. Ronnie Bell 365, by the way, go get that. And he just came to me one day, said, "Man, I got this idea." He just called me out the blue, said, "Man, I got this idea. I think it's gonna be hot." And he told me what it was, and then we just laughed. And then like 3 or 4 months later, we got in the studio. He's like, "Hey, you remember that song I told you about?" And he already had most of it done. And I was like, "This is crazy." I was like, "You know what? How about we finish these other songs?" And he's like, nah. We got to finish this one first. And I think if people really pay attention, probably the first half of the song, I was kind of upset singing it. And then by the time we got to the hook, I said, "Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it." But that goes to show everybody. Sometimes you got to trust the people that you empower on your team, and sometimes you got to do music and songs that even you don't like at first.
I tell you, like there's a statement that we say, understanding comes in time. That sometimes you have to let it run its course so you can really get it. But Mr. Bell, I want you to take this time out to let our followers and our listeners and our viewers to know who Mr. Ronnie Bell is. You know what I'm saying? And give them the opportunity to understand, why you fell in love with the Southern Soul music and things like that.
Man, I'm just an educated brother from Walker, Louisiana, the middle of nowhere. Just happen to have a lot of favor and blessings come from a family of singers. Didn't necessarily want to be a singer, wanted to be a musician, but God had other ideas for me. So, once I started embracing my purpose, singing and music opened up a lot of doors for me. So it was kind of hard for me to deny, my blessing and what I was able to do. And I I thank God every day for allowing me to, be able to use this gift He's given me to open doors for not just myself but also my family, and just to be able to touch the people with some good music and some good vibes.
Definitely some great music. Like I said, the song "Thinking About You" was that I'll pay that what's that joint?
I'll pay the shipping
I'll
cost.
pay the shipping
I'll pay
costs.
the shipping
Yeah.
cost.
Yes.
Now I'm listening to "I'll pay the shipping cost." Is you taking a man, woman from me?
Man, that was a song. The story of that song is always crazy. So, my former manager and mentor, Mr. Kim Frost Hill. Frost was the guy who kind of brought me in, man. So, I kept running into this guy all over the place. Like I said, I'm from Walker, Louisiana. I went to school to the Southern University A&M in Baton Rouge, and a cousin of mine was doing some community work in New Orleans, and she hired me to come out and do an event for the Katrina 5-year reunion. I bumped into him there. I bumped into him at a studio in Baton Rouge. And then I was like, well, I had did a community cleanup out in New Orleans. I bumped into him again, and I was like, man, I said, look, God meant for us to meet because we keep bumping into each other, and I'm not trying to bump into you. And every time I see him, he said, man, I think I got something that you might be interested in. And at that time, I was heavy R&B, and in my mind, I was gonna be the next R. Kelly. Um, But once the politics and once the understanding of marketing and promotion of R&B set in, it was like without going to a major label, I don't have the money or the backing to do what those guys are doing. So he said, look, I just want you to try this song, and we'll see where it go from there. And the first song he gave me was Cotton Candy.
Kid.
Matter of fact, I think I knocked that song out in like 45 minutes, and then I recorded like two more songs over probably the next 3 or 4 months. And then I was piecing together this song, and I think I came two different times and I did two different parts of it. And it's like he didn't let me hear it for like 2 years. Like I honestly did not hear this song for like 2 years. And then we dropped a couple other songs after Cotton Candy. They didn't really do exactly what we wanted them to do. And he went to the next song and he's like, man, I think we got one. And I was like, what song? And he's like, shipping costs. I'm like, what song is that? I literally hadn't heard the song in like 2 or 3 years. And then, about a month or so later, he sent me a version of it. And I was like, oh, that's that song. I was like, all right. And then sure enough, man, we shouts out to Roscoe Miller, man, out in Montgomery, Alabama area. We had a concert with him coming up, and he really pumped that song, man. And that's probably my fastest growing, and probably has become my biggest song to date. Like I've never experienced anything like that, man. But it goes to show that was always the goal, whether it was R&B or Southern Soul. It was about having a story, whether it's a funny story or a real life story that people can relate to, and trying to get them a beat that they can dance to. Real talk, real music.
That shipping cost is definitely it.
Now,
Definitely.
it's definitely a hit. That's definitely a banger. Now, when the first time you was on stage performing, how was that feeling for you?
Talking about that song or like just Southern Soul?
No, period. Like your first, like when you first when you first started out, say in the entertainment, you starting to do shows and you starting to get on the road. How was it for you? Was you nervous the first time you stood in front of the crowd and was able to perform your songs?
Um, it was it was a mixed feeling because I made sure, like I said, well, look, I'm a. I think the first time I did Cotton Candy, I was like, well, look, I'm gonna do a couple songs that people know, and then I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna introduce this new song, my song,
Hmm.
and then just kind of go from there.
Right.
And people was rocking with me on the cover tunes, and then when I got to Cotton Candy, I think the first time I did it, about 10 people hit the dance floor. I was like, okay, I think we got something here.
Hmm.
And the people who event we were at, I think the first show was guaranteed like $100. They like what we did. They think they gave us $200. So it was all love from there, and it just the crowd and the reception started growing from there. I mean, the biggest thing I can tell up and coming artists is just you have to do your song, but you also want to make sure that you you put together a set that can grab people's attention. Because for me, I always feel like if you go up there and just do a bunch of songs that no one knows,
Hmm.
then people are like, who is this cat? You
Right.
know. So you got to kind of blend in some stuff that people know, and then eat, and then go to your bread and butter, and make sure that you give it enough time and sing the heck out of your song for months and months or years until people understand. People got to know you for at least one thing before they can know you for everything else.
Now
Yeah.
with Southern Soul artists, um, are you mostly independent? Because I don't know if you have the big label pushed with the Southern Soul music as you would be with the R&B music.
No, definitely. Independent label, my own label, Real Entertainment Group, small label, but we're growing every day each year. We have two new artists that we just signed, Jamie Evans, Jamel Lord. Those guys will be coming real soon. But we're distributed by the independent distributor, Music Access. So that was a blessing, hooking up with those guys, making sure that we get the reach that we need, and make sure we collecting all the money that's owed to us.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of Southern Soul artists who got a lot of views on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and they're not getting their just due. So
Right. Because that's what I wanted to ask was it a struggle? Is it a bigger struggle being independent as a Southern Soul artist, or a struggle being independent as the R&B artist?
it was probably harder as an R&B artist because people have to understand that you got to pay for your promotion, and you got to find a way to get in. And like with R&B, you can have great music, but no one cares about great music per se. There's a
Right.
thousand other people dropping songs, dropping music every day,
Mhm.
and it's all about who you know. Unless you have a manager that can get you in,
Mhm.
the best bet is just keep grinding until you can get the attention of a label, because R&B costs so much. Like R&B used to be the bread and butter of most labels, so that's why they would make it. You would have to cost. You probably have to pay $100,000 to break an R&B song. You know, but pop and pop and everything else is caught up, and rap and everything else is caught up, but it still costs a lot to promote R&B music. It's just more cost efficient to promote Southern Soul music.
Okay. Now, with Southern Soul, uh, is there any artists that you have collab with, or you looking to collaborate with?
um yes, that is crazy. My first album, on purpose, I didn't really work with anybody who was out there, because the goal was to show that I could stand on my own 2 feet, and that. my sound, my voice, and the music on here could stand without the help of anyone else.
Mhm.
So, we felt that was accomplished. So now as we're preparing to work on the next project, we're gonna bring in some of the heavy hitters, Tucker, Sir Charles, uh hopefully we can work in like Lenny Williams, maybe Calvin Richardson. Um Trying to think of some more people that we want to work with. Um can't I can't think of everybody right now, but those heavy hitters for sure.
Definitely. We've had Sir Charles on the show, and
Yes.
he's a great artist. He's a great artist, and I think that that would be a great song. You and him together. It definitely would push you and him both to the next level. Not just you. I think that your sound, your music, your voice would definitely, help him out. As well. Not saying that he needs help or whatever the case may be, but I think that collaboration would be great. Going forward.
Oh yes, that was the goal, man, was to make sure that when I started collaborating with these guys, it wasn't no knock in the years before, but I wanted to make sure that my name and my voice brought weight to the track, and I wasn't just riding off their coattails.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And
I've heard it. I was reading one thing about you in a bio from one of the articles out here, and they said they dub you the Brian McKnight of Southern Soul.
right.
I said, wow,
Yeah.
that's
Hey man, I take that, man. Anytime they compare me to Brian, I'll
yeah.
take that.
I was like, that's all right there. You have a definite. What I like about it, you have that style that definitely stands out to where when we hear a song come on or just that one note that comes out of your mouth, we know it's you. It's very distinct. That's Ronnie Bell right there. You can pull
Oh
him
yeah,
up.
man. Oh yeah, that was definitely on purpose, man. Again, I came in more R&B and gospel, and when I started with my guy Frost, I said, one of the things I said, look, man, I got to be able to add some of these R&B harmonies and things and gospel harmonies that I've been working on all these years to make sure I set myself apart. There's not, when I came in with almost about 10 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of big vocalists in Southern Soul. So I was like, what's one way I could stand apart is to use my vocals, use my falsetto, and use and bring some of these nice harmonies. Tone it down a bit, because there's, I don't want to overdo it, but that was definitely one way I wanted to stand out. Is like, hey man, some of these guys been here longer than me, so if nothing else, I'm going out sing them. If nothing else.
Mhm.
The title, what I want a good explanation on is, can I get some?
Oh, I was leading to that.
Was you
I was
leading?
leading, I was leading to that.
Go ahead, G. Go ahead. That can I get some, boy? I was like, oh, okay. I said, I want to look. Let's get to the real root of the matter. Can I get some?
That's some good stuff.
Man, again, that I can't take credit for everything, man. That's like, God blessed me to have some good people, producers and writers that I've been able to work with. And my guy Frost, again, man, he was telling me this story. He said, man, it was one morning and he was telling me about the situation. And he said, man, you know what, that's a good song, And then he said he went to write it down, and he said, he had tried it before and it did pretty good, but he said it didn't come out the way I wanted. So he said, man, I want to try it again with you. And man, that's one of those hidden gems on the album, man. Because if you ever been in a long-term relationship, and y'all living together, or if you've been married, you've wanted to say that.
As I said, I can imagine you sitting in there in the booth and be like, you know what? I'm gonna have to take 5, fellas. I gotta go get some.
Oh
Definitely.
man,
Looking at some of the title tracks and things like that, you bring the dope part of music, You know what I'm saying? To everything. Um, and with Southern Soul, like we always talk about, it keeps the love in there, keeps the energy in there, and the attraction in there. How much do you feel like your music is part of that influence?
Um, you know what? I'm starting to see more vocalists over the years come in Southern Soul. You know,
Hmm.
more guys who you could tell they have more of an R&B or a true, like, newer gospel sound are starting to come in. And
Hmm.
I'm seeing a few people come in like that. I see a few people, starting to do some of those falsettos and stuff. I was like, whoa, I was the only one doing that for a while. Yeah, and people are starting to brace the music, man. Like, I like if people listen to my album, the first half I did it on purpose. The first half is more of an old school traditional Southern soul sound to a
Hmm.
certain degree, and then the second half is more of a new R&B ish kind of soul kind of sound. I wanted to make sure we blend those in, and a few of those songs has some old school elements to them, like a thinking of you, like a make it last. I mean, I'm sorry, make it right.
Make it right.
um we wanted to make sure that those songs and those feels, that's like that thinking of you is kind of like my that's that thinking of you is kind of like my Johnny Taylor, that
Hmm.
that make it right is kind of like my BB King, kind of feel, got a lot of quartet up in that thing.
Oh yeah.
Now, during the pandemic, was you able to focus on your music and churn out a lot of music during the pandemic?
A- Actually, the album was done by the time the pandemic really hit.
Uh-huh.
What the pandemic did do was give me the time to sit down and like really put certain stuff together and actually put it out, because I've been talking about putting the album out for like 2 years.
Hmm.
And that's what a lot of people didn't realize either, that a lot of that older music, like, they were all singles. And then we wanted to bring all that good music from over the years and go ahead and combine it with some of this newer music, and put a great album out.
Okay. So when you're in the studio and you're focused on the music, you want to make sure that you take your time and select which music you're going to put out at this point in time, or you know what I mean, or you have different writers, or your manager help you predict pick the music that you're going to put out.
Yeah, well, like I said, at first that was the hard part. We were getting ready to put the album out, I think probably 2019, and and and, and my guy Frost passed away toward the end of 2018.
Hmm.
So for a year, I was kind of lost and kind of had to take more of an ownership role and learn and kind of put this thing together myself. And so my goal was, like, we had about 5 or 6 songs together, and so I decided to bring in some of my other guys I had been knowing for a while and worked with in the past on some of my R&B projects. And I was like, you know what? Let's combine this stuff, because some of this music has some great messages too. So
Hmm.
I had to learn and kind of figure it out on my own, and then eventually I started bringing people in. My guy Jesse, my current manager Katrina, brought her
Hmm.
in. I mean, even my wife, man, my wife was giving me great advice, and she's on the team too. So I definitely can't do this by myself.
All right. And I was going to ask you how much of it is a family run label that you have, with your independent label, and how's that working out with your wife and with your manager Katrina? Because that's who I've been speaking with, your manager Katrina, and how much is that weigh heavy as a family oriented label?
Um, you know, when When you don't want people breathing down your neck, sometimes it's a good thing. But sometimes when you want to hurry and do things on a grand style, then that's when a small label, have you scratching your head because you like man, if I was at Sony. But you also got to realize the commitments that those guys have on you and your life. So it is, and then they own you. So there's always trade-offs, especially when you own your masters and you own your product. There's a lot of freedom in that, but a lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of work and the lines get blurred between relationships and real life, and it's not always for the good. So you have to navigate around that too. And I'm learning just like everyone else. I make mistakes, um, probably more than some, but with the by the grace of God, we're working through it, and we're getting better. We're trying to strive to get better, and hopefully, Real Entertainment Group, especially as we drop these two new artists real soon. By next year, you'll be hearing these guys, and hopefully, you guys will be wanting to interview them also.
Indeed. Just send them my way. But I was going to ask, how do you find your talent? How do you find the individuals that you have signed to your label? Do you do a showcase, or you know what I mean? They come up to with demos, or they just get out there and how do you find your talent?
These have been guys that I've just been meeting over the years. They just they it's as many would say, like it's ordained by God.
Mm-hmm.
You're just in the right place at the right time. Um, I was on a trip and just ran into my guy Jamel, and we stayed friends over the years.
Mm-hmm.
My guy Jamie Evans, I was back in Louisiana singing at my church, and my uncle played bass, and he brought in a new guitar player and introduced me to him, and we've been friends ever since. It's just I'm 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 not necessarily looking for talent, but a lot of times the talent just falls on me. Like, you know what, man, you've been grinding and we talked and we've worked on stuff. Like, when I get a chance, I want to give you a shot. I want to put you on, and those are the guys that I wanted to give a shot first.
Okay. Now, since you're from Louisiana, do you incorporate any of the bounce music with your Southern Soul?
Of course, man. Man,
You think we do that about the bounce?
yeah, man. Almost pretty much every show, man. I end with a little bounce mix of cotton candy, man.
Okay.
I got I gotta show some of that Louisiana flavor. Again, that's a little bit of showmanship, and that's another way for me to stand out.
Right. Now, when it comes down to the art form of performing, uh, how has music you seen the performances change since you've been in the business and prior to you coming in?
You know what? At first, I could tell a lot of people ignored what I was doing, and I was still trying to find my sound and found, find the right order of songs or, get my groove. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say the last couple of years, say like I've been on some of these tours, like this Blues All Right tour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I really came in. The pandemic helped me on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I really was able to sit down and talk to the music directors with the bands and like, look, I want to hit them hard and I want to hit them with this. If they give me 20 minutes, that's usually 4 or 5 songs with people.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, with me, that's like 7 songs.
Oh wow.
That or like 6 songs.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be in and out, and I want to hit you with a lot of different flavors to where I don't want you to feel like you can go to the bathroom during my set.
That's good. That's a good joint.
And
Um,
and, and then also I wanted to put pressure on some of the other guys because I could tell a lot of them was kind of mailing it in.
uh-huh.
And I know for sure this year, man. I noticed. I'm not gonna say no names, but at the beginning of the tour, they were following me every night that I was on the nights that I was on the tour, and by about the third night, they show changed up. And like they changed the order of them songs. Like, man, you can't come in all slow, especially after we done ended with a bounce version, a live bounce version of that cotton candy.
Now, how do you see that the competition level is in Southern Soul?
Um, to me, it's more of an internal thing because the beauty about Southern Soul is you could tell a lot of people are secure in their lane
Mm-hmm.
and they realize that if I try to do too much or come out of what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play myself.
Right.
So for the heavy hitters, they're not gonna try to go too. They're not gonna try to veer too much. I kind of like that about them. But I think for the younger or the newer artists, that kind of puts a lot more heat on them that you just can't mail it in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, when you talk about Southern Soul, it has different little branches like we have been discussing, the trail rides, and then you have the slow singers, and then you have the line dancers. Um, how do you see where your music fits in the different branches of Southern Soul?
Right now, a lot of the line steppers and some of the trail riders, they're feeling my music. But also, like, with a song like Thinking of You, and if you really listening to the album Confessing My Love Pains,
Mhm,
I want to be able to slow it down and actually sing.
mhm,
So and try to tell those stories. So my goal is to have a song for everybody. That's ultimately my goal, is to have a song for every occasion, for everybody, but also not do too much to where there's no cohesion in what we have on the album.
all right. Because I know that a lot of your music are played on the trail ride. That's the reason why I asked. And I was wondering, was you knowledgeable of the fact that did you know that it was a lot of trail rides that were playing Mr. Ronnie Bell music?
Man, I'm grateful for it. I've heard it. My goal is and what I'm saying right now to all those trail rides, call my people. Don't just play me. Have me there. No, but compared to most of the heavy hitters, my prices is the most reasonable out there. Call them up. Don't wait till you got 6, 7 other people on the bill and all the money gone. Call
That's right.
call call, call your boy toward the beginning when the pot heavy.
When the pot hit.
Absolutely.
When the numbers looking good.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Mr. Bell, speaking of what you talk in the songs, and then when you start to sit down and do some of those videos with it, do you have most of the input, or do you go along with some of the scripts? Like, for instance, one of the ones that's becoming my favorite is Love Ingredient.
Yeah.
And as I was watching the video, I see you sitting down there like you're the psychiatrist doctor or the doctor of love, and everybody's coming to you with you got this group got that problem, this one here, and you sitting there just laid back like let me just hit y'all with it. And it's just to change up. So how much of the influence in your videos do you have much input in choreographing and everything?
Um. Again, by me being an owner in my own label, I have all the influence if I want, but I want to be open to other ideas because again, sometimes when you oversaturate with your own ideas, you start to be redundant and do a lot of the same things, and it may not be as creative. So I had an idea of what I wanted, and I spoke that over with the director, and then my business partner Jesse Splan, he kind of came up with that idea of similar to what was the movie? What Tyler Perry movie? Why Did I Get Married? And that was the idea he floated out to me, and I was like, oh, that's it right there. That coincided with what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I was feeling that. I was looking at it. I said, man, and see, me being a music connoisseur and also in the profession, I always listen to the lyrics to get the best. You get the best understanding when you listen to the lyrics as well as the music, and everything gels. And with that love ingredient, it can take you to a time and a place within your own issues going on where you may have with your partner or significant other, whatever, where it's like, you know what, that's a scene like there that I think we played out and everything worked out fine. You know what I'm saying? Because that love
Mhm.
ingredient was there when you really sit down and think about uh, what it takes when you got and how you started, how you end up, and how what it takes to continue, to stay there, you know. And it's like your songs talk about a lot of longevity. You put a lot of emphasis in the love when you do your love songs. So I think that's very rare in most today's R&B world, and I think that's why the Southern soul blues concept is where it's at and how strong it's remaining, because it's a lot of songs out there that anybody can just say, but to have the heart and soul into excuse me, to pour back love into the message. A lot of Southern soul is really gravitating that way, and it seems like that it's holding very steady. And I like that in the industry right now, because a lot of the R&B that I hear today, I don't really get with Too Tough.
Oh yeah, nah, they've lost a lot of the message. So I have that talk with a lot of different people. Um, they're not talking about nothing. Everything is so instant gratification. There's no stories in there. There's nothing. You listen to those lyrics and those verses. There's nothing that could tell you anything about your life. And when I'm talking to some of the other artists, or whether it's talking to fans, I usually let them know, like, look, man, these songs ain't just talking to y'all. These songs to me, I'm married. I'm married with kids, and these songs be hitting me sometimes. Like, some people, I'd have had a couple times I might be up there feeling like I'm shedding a tear because people think, boy, he really into it. Like, nah, I done sung a lyric or sung some words that touch me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that may make me want to go home and, hey, babe, you know what? I'm sorry. Or I look at a situation a lot differently after you listen to some of these songs. So it's like not preaching to everybody else, preaching to myself too.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And again, it goes back to the one theme my guy Frost used to always say: real talk, real music. He said he would come up with a lot of his songs by just listening to other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And and again, when I first met him, I said that I had the same purpose in this music as I did in R&B. I want to be able to. I know every song you can't tell a story in every song. Sometimes just a good vibe, a good feel. Cotton Candy ain't necessarily telling a story,
Mm-hmm.
but Love Ingredients is.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pay the shipping cost is. You
Yeah.
know, Bougie Booty not necessarily telling a story, but
Oh,
it's
it's
just
telling the
giving that
story. Come on, man. It's telling the
it's
story.
it's giving a vibe, man. That if you in the hole in the wall, or if you at a party and this kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
then hey, oh man, this person, that's you. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I really encourage all the people, all the listeners, everybody viewing this, go check out that Ronnie Bell 365 in stores everywhere. Stream it, download it, buy it, order a CD if you still rocking CDs. We got those for you too, man. Listen to some of those other songs. You know, um, uh, how can I love you? Thinking of you, make it right. You know, what's my joint? Man, my mind leaving me right now.
Mr. Bell,
Go ahead.
what is the website that they can go to directly to get their music from you?
Okay.
Because
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
know.
I'm sorry. So behind. The website, my beautiful wife constructed a website for me. It's called reelentgroup.com. That's reelentgroup.com. Reelentgroup.com.
Okay. Now
Check that
you
out,
heard
man. We got some new merch, shirts and stuff coming. Buy your purchase, order your CD, or download or stream the music. We got all that for you.
now to get the music directly from Mr. Bell. It's the realentgroup.com. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So make sure that you log into realentgroup.com and be able to get all the merch, all the music directly from the artist. Directly from the artist. We're going to make sure that you support all the artists that come on and the great music that Mr. Bell has, going forward. Now, we sit and like I said, we've been listening to different music and different songs and seeing how, as Kay said, like being the Brian McKnight of Southern Soul. Everybody in Southern Soul has their own moniker, and with you coming from R&B, and initially, I think if I'm correct, you came from gospel. So coming from gospel, going into R&B, and now into Southern Soul, how much is the gospel and the R&B playing a big part in your music?
Tremendous. In order to keep that in my mind, that's what makes me stand out to a lot of the other artists. I don't think they were recording or writing R&B music to the level that we were at that time. Some of my R&B music, I really feel was really, really great music, but I just didn't have the promotion or the money for everyone to hear it. We wrote and recorded a lot of great songs. So I wanted to bring a lot of those elements over to Southern Soul because again, I felt it was an opening for me, and no one was doing what no one was doing, or I'm not gonna say they weren't able, but no one was doing what I was capable of to do.
And that to me makes you stand out from the crowd, whereas you have your own moniker, your own signature sound that you bring to a record. Now, you have shows that are coming up. You wanna plug some of those shows so individuals know where they can see Mr. Ronnie Bell live and go out there and get some of his merch and get some of them live CDs while they at the show.
Oh yes, sir. Man, we got this fall tour coming up. Saluda, South Carolina, Greenville, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. Where else we're gonna be? Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Tampa, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Miami, Florida, Belton, Texas. I'm pretty sure there's a few more places, but that's majority of the spot. Birmingham, Alabama. Can't forget Beham.
Definitely. Also, too, my co-host right here, he is part of the promotion team of Real2reel360. We have a show that's coming up in Darlington in 2 weeks, but we also too have another show coming up in Darlington in November, and we're looking for artists to be on that show. Right, Kay?
Okay.
Absolutely. Love that.
What's your date in November?
November 25th, if I'm not mistaken. November 25th.
I may be booked that day, but I got one of my artists. We're about to drop one of his singles soon, and what I've been telling a lot of people, and encouraging them, like, once we drop these other artists, if you may not have a budget for me, or you may want to showcase some of the up and coming artists, I got two guys that we would love to get over there at reasonable prices.
Okay, definitely chop that up.
Yeah, definitely, because that's the promotion team. Him and Sabrina B Promotions out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. They are superstar promoters, and they got shows going. So we'd definitely like to plug you in with them two as we speak.
Yes, sir.
So definitely, so with your shows, a lot of times, like you said, the individuals that they changing up their shows because of the bounce, the Candy remix of Bounce. How is it, or has it been, like, for artists to come behind you and you make sure that you make it uneasy for them?
I mean,
Because I know some artists hate, like, they not say hate, but some artists, when you have individuals coming behind you, you want to make sure that they have to bring their A game every night if they're gonna come behind you. How much of that is in your mind when you do your show?
that's usually, I usually only feel that when I'm coming off stage, but in my mind, I'm usually aiming that toward the promoter. That when I'm like, whoever is putting this card together, if you got me first or second, I want you to feel crazy. I want the fans to come to you and be like, why is he up so early? That's usually my goal. Yeah, that's usually my goal, is to be like, why does he only have this amount of time, and why is he up so early?
And
That's I'm usually aiming it at the promoter. It's not necessarily at any artist.
me and my co-host K-Wise have talked about Southern Soul verses, and with individuals like they've been doing with R&B artists, with they've been doing with the hip hop artists. Do you think that there could be a Southern Soul versus?
Yeah, they could, but it would be limited. You would almost have to package it like they did with the R&B verses when they had four guys come out, because majority of Southern Soul artists don't have 20 songs. I mean, when you talk about 20 songs, and at least majority of that 20 need to be hits. You talking Sir Charles, Tucker, Omar, Calvin, and I mean 20 might be a stretch even for Calvin. That's a lot of songs. Hits like Lenny.
Like, you got up and coming people, Jeter Jones. They still fresh on the block. Maybe coming up.
Yeah, I mean it may be 20 good songs. Like for me, I can play you 20 good songs. My album had 13. I have a bunch of music from before and during that I could play, right? There may be good songs. I would feel myself like the Mario of the group. You may have more hits than me, but if we're performing these songs live, song for song, I think it's gonna be something serious when people see the difference in sound and what we're doing on stage.
All right.
Well, that's what we've been talking about. Kate, we always talk about. We ask every artist that come on the same question. You know what I'm saying? How would they feel about doing a versus with another Southern Soul artist, or who do they feel that they would want to line up against doing a Southern Soul versus? You know what I mean? And we've got a lot of different answers. A lot of great answers from it. But this was the first time somebody was saying that it'd be a stretch to get 20 good hits. You know what I mean? So
I mean, we got to be real, man. You know,
Right.
that's every artist, every person feel like they could do verses, but man, come on, man, 20 hits, man, come on. There's very few people in the world that got 20 hits.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's take it back to your roots, as the previous question was stating. When you was coming up, listening to the gospel and R&B, who was some of your favorite gospel and R&B artists that you were listening to that kind of gave you the craftsmanship to bring out Ronnie Bell?
John P. Key,
Okay.
that was my guy. I think that's the one person that I haven't met that I'm like, well, there's a few others, but that's one of the key people. I'm still waiting for that, for those paths to cross. Um, John P. Key, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Jackie Wilson. Um, what's my guy? Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye,
Classics.
and Jamie Foxx. I've always been a big fan of Jamie Foxx and Tank and Brian. Tank and Brian.
When it
I
comes
mean,
down to
I'm sorry. When it comes to individuals, of
Yeah.
course, Jodeci, Boys the Men, Drew Hill. I'm a big R&B fan, but when it just comes to solo artists, I've all, even at at young age, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I was big on the old school.
do you feel like some of those artists that you rang out was underrated?
Um, Ray, I think Ray was underrated. Jackie Wilson for sure. Jackie Wilson gets lost in time
Mhm.
because it's hard to be noticed when you got James Brown and Marvin Gaye and Motown surrounding you, right? But
Mhm.
he was a bad boy.
Oh yes, he was. He made an impact. He did make an impact.
Definitely, he definitely
That's
did.
for sure.
And then I feel like John P. Key, man, is just now truly getting his love. You take someone like a Kurt Franklin, who, I've heard him in some interviews, who had the reference like, I need y'all to understand, he is the reason that I came up with my sound because I had to follow his sound because he changed gospel music. Everybody was sounding like James Cleveland before that,
Hmm.
Okay.
or what's my guy, Andre Crouch.
Mhm.
Those were the gospel standards.
Mhm.
And then, John P. Key, also Hezekiah Walker, but John P. Key for sure, man. That falsetto, when I first heard that, I was like, I've heard Sam Cooke use that, but I got to use that. I got to figure out how he doing it, and I'm gonna sit here and keep singing it until I figure out until I sound close to him.
Wow,
Wow.
that's great.
But like I said, you have definitely a distinctive voice, and your music, your songs are moving, to say the least. Um, when individuals get an opportunity to really sit down and take their time and listen to your music, I think that you will be in the same lineup with Omar and Sir Charles. That's just, what I'm saying, my take on your sound and your music and a lot of your records that you're coming out with, because you have a lot of great records.
Man, I received that. That's always been my push. That's why we still to this day, we still telling people don't realize that the album's out. So,
Mhm.
that's why I'm coming back with the merch, with the shirts, and to let people know that it's out and that there's more songs. Like everyone's, hey man, you got some new music? Like, man, I got 13 cuts. You only know two or three.
Yes, yes. So, Mr. Bell, I'm sorry, we're getting close to our time, but I want to make sure that all our followers and all our listeners know exactly where to get your merch and your music. So, could you say it for us one more time?
That's realentgroup.com, two E's, REELENTGROUP.com, realentgroup.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Ronnie Bell Music, and Facebook. I think it's Ronnie Bell 225. Hey man, follow the artist page. If you guys want me to come to your city, call that number 504-600-8383. Again, if you want Ronnie Bell to be at your event or possibly have a real ENT artist be at your event, that's 504-600-8383. We got a lot of new music coming, two new artists dropping soon, and we're already starting to prepare for the next Ronnie Bell album. So, I'm definitely going, like I said, I'm gonna have some surprises, and this go around we're gonna bring in a couple of heavy hitters. So so you guys will realize that your boy not playing, and it's all love, and we want to collaborate with other good artists.
That right there is beautiful. But we want to make sure that myself and KY's on behalf of KY, that you understand, like, whatever you have going on, whatever new that you have, just reach out to us. We'll help you promote it, help you push it, bring you right back onto the show, and get everything together for you.
Oh yes. Oh, and man, I can't let this forget. Man, if anyone's looking for some new Ronnie Bell, we just dropped a new single on radio. It's called Pretty Lady. Got a little Zydeco. Got a little trail ride flavor to it, man. Called Pretty Lady. Check that out. The video's coming soon also. So I want everyone always, when I see people, they looking for new music.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get them on the dance floor, Pretty Lady. That's it right there.
Pretty Lady. My co-host is skinning and grinning like a Cheshire cat. I don't know what's going on over there, but
I'm just excited. It's everything. It's everything. We want to make sure we give you your flowers while you live. So we give you a high salute and blessings in your success, and wishing you even more as time permits and goes on and move forward, and let the people know that Ronnie Bell's definitely in the building. And we appreciate you for coming on the show and granting us this interview. And we hope that we did you some service as well. And we continue to hope and wish we do more endeavors in the future.
Oh, man, many blessings. Thank y'all for having me on, man. And shout out to my family. Love y'all. But again, I always appreciate these opportunities, because I remember there was a time when I had a whole lot of music and no one cared. So these times here, I definitely want to cherish and make sure that I don't let them slide and take them for granted.
Definitely.
That's great. If you have 2 minutes after the show, we would like to keep you and speak to you for a hot second. But Kay, you know what time it is, big bro?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been blessed with the interview of one of the greatest, Mr. Brian McKnight of Southern Soul himself, Mr. Ronnie Bell. But we just going to, we appreciate you and everything. And we thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the Real2reel360. And let's talk about who we got coming up next, y'all, on the next episode.
We have Miss Lynn Myers, where we'll be discussing physical abuse, sexual abuse. Also, too, next week we have GQ. Man, I have to look at the board, but we got a lot of individuals coming up.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time for us to make our way out, and we will see you soon and again. So y'all stay tuned and be blessed. Peace to the Laws Nation of 5%. And once again, our shout out and love goes to Allah B and his family at this time as he return to the essence. May the blessings of Allah be upon everybody. We are out. We are Real2reel360. We'll see you when we see you.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend, and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ KY, brother, take us up out of here, son. Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of God's Earth, to all the human families on planet Earth. I say peace. But you are subscribed to those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on. I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness. To be the man, woman, and child of the you and I first. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe so we continue to grow to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you upon our show. You make it possible for us to do what we do. Now it's time I end it just the way